Continuing our discussion on YomTruaB, you can't discuss YomTruaB without a shofar. Okay, so we're going to show you the blasts on the shofar. We just read from Numbers 10 the different kinds of blasts. So the first one is a single note. And the single note means to gather the elders. Then, to gather the entire assembly, you would blow both trumpets together. Now, when you blow both trumpets, it's kind of hard to tell that there's two trumpets blowing. So what they would do is they'd play one note on one trumpet and start it a little bit early, and then play a different note on a different trumpet. And so generally when they do the tekiah, this is the tekiah, for gathering, they'll do two notes in order to simulate the idea of two shofars. Okay, so it'd go like this. And that means to gather the entire assembly. And we use this in our meetings when we're trying to get everybody together to gather them. Okay, and you're following the instruction of Scripture by doing that. Then there is the alarm. The alarm is three notes, and the alarm, or the truah, is designed for moving forward. It would signal the movement. Okay, and they had prearranged movement. When they got ready to move, they would say the first group would go on the first truah, and the second truah is for the second group to move, and so forth. And the same thing would happen in battle. When they would go into battle, and they would signal the attack, the truah, they would have arranged things. When you hear the attack first, you go this way, and when the second one is for the second group, and things like that. So it's very convenient way of signaling. So the truah sounds like this. Now there is another note that is mentioned elsewhere in the Scripture, which is the shevarim. And shevarim is designed to be a whine. It's designed to be a desperate call to God. And it goes like this. And then another note that is mentioned in Scripture is the tekiah gadol. This is translated as the last trumpet or the great trumpet. And what this is referring to is the last battle. The Battle of Armageddon is signaled by the tekiah gadol, or the great trumpet. And this is simply a very long tekiah. So it goes like this. So those are your four different notes, but the two main ones that we're looking at in the Torah is the tekiah for gathering, and the truah for moving forward. So, continuing on in our book, in the book, it talks about this promise that is actually mentioned here in Numbers 10, that if you blow the trumpet, God will remember you, and He will come and save you, right? Numbers 10:9. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and you shall be remembered toward the face of Yahuwah your Elohim, and you shall be saved from your enemies. And this same promise is mentioned in Amos 2:2, Amos 3:6, Zephaniah 1:16. Very important. So, if we are in battle, which we are periodically, as there is a spiritual enemy that is attacking us, he doesn't want us to grow spiritually. So, when this is happening, one of the techniques that you now have is the shofar. If you blow the shofar, then there is a promise that God will come and attack your enemies. And of course, he is bigger than your enemies. Zechariah 9:13 through 16. When I have bent Yehudah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece, and made you as the sword of a mighty man. And Yahuwah shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning. And Adonai Yahuwah shall blow the shofar, and shall go with whirlwinds of the south. Yahuwah of armies shall defend them. They shall eat and subdue with sling stones. They shall drink and make a noise as through wine. They shall be filled with bowls as the corners of the altar. And Yahuwah their Elohim shall save them in that day as the flock of his people, for they shall be as the stones of a crown, lifted up as an ensign upon his land. Yeah. Nehemiah 4:20. In what place, therefore, you hear the sound of the shofar, resort you thither unto us, for Elohim shall fight for us. Now, so this is a promise that's very important for us to be using. The shofar is used in evangelism. I knew a guy that carried a shofar around with him all over the place, and he would go on the beach or wherever and just blow this thing, and people would just gather around him. They'd come up to him and say, "What are you doing that for?" And then he would evangelize them. Okay. But the shofar is used in Scripture for evangelism, and this is all in the book. All these passages, Isaiah 18:3. All you inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the land, see you when he lifts up an ensign on the mountains, and when he blows a shofar, hear you. This is pointing out that the flag is used to align the troops in battle. So the shofar would tell you to move forward, but you need to stay in line, and you would use a flag for that purpose. Isaiah 27:13. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great shofar shall be blown. That's talking about the Tekiah Gadol, the great shofar. And they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts of the land of Egypt, and shall bow down to Yahuwah in his set-apart mountain at Jerusalem. So this is gathering the enemies of God. We were the enemies of God, and when the shofar blew, the enemy that was blinding us is destroyed from within, And we are able to understand the gospel, and if we so choose, we come to God at that point. We gather to Him. Isaiah 27:13. It shall come to pass in that day that Isaiah 58:1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up your voice like a shofar, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Yaakov their sins. So this is a command to do evangelism, but it's saying that you do the evangelism with the shofar. And that is talking about symbolically of gathering people by evangelism, but it's also talking literally about using the shofar as one of your tools for evangelism. Jeremiah 4:5-16. Declare you in Yehuda, and publish in Yerushalayim, and say, blow you the shofar in the land. Cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, let us go into the defended cities. Set up the standard toward Sion. Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction. The lion is come from his thicket. The destroyer of the Goyim is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make your land desolate. Your cities shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. For this gird you with sackcloth. Lament and howl, for the fierce anger of Yahuwah is not turned back from us. Behold, he shall come as clouds, as chariots shall be as a whirlwind. Coming as clouds is talking about the dust of the armies. Yeah. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariots shall be as a whirlwind, his horses swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. O Jerusalem, wash your heart from wickedness, that you may be saved. How long shall your vain thoughts lodge within you? For a voice declares from Dan, and publishes affliction from mountain Ephraim. Make you mention of the Goyim. Behold, publish again against Jerusalem, that watchers came from a far country, and give their voice against the cities of Yehuda. So this is talking about evangelism is going on, and if you don't accept the evangelism, then the punishment comes. Ezekiel 33:3-7. If when he sees the sword come upon the land, he blow the shofar and warn the people, then whosoever hears the sound of the shofar and takes not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the shofar and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him. But he that takes warning shall deliver his soul. But if the watchmen see the sword coming, and blow not the shofar, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his evil, or eyeing, supervising. But his blood shall require, but his blood I require at the watchman's hand. So you, O son of man, I have set you as a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore you shall hear the word of my mouth and warn them from me. So here we're commanded to evangelize, and that's what we're doing with the path. We are learning how to evangelize. But the shofar is going to be a part of what we do. Blow you the shofar, Joel 2:1. Blow the shofar in Sion, sound an alarm in my set-apart mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahuwah comes, for it is nigh at hand. Joel 2:15. Blow the shofar in Sion, sanctify a fast, Call a solemn assembly. Psalm 81, which mentions the shofar and the new moon, corresponds to 1 Thessalonians 5, where we are commissioned as apostles to gather Israel. So, Yom Truah is about gathering Israel, and it's about physically blowing the shofar as a part of doing that.